The name of this collaboration with Rochester City Ballet is called MUSE. I called it MUSE because I wanted to name the project. I wanted it to have a title. And I think the name MUSE came to me from a muse. A muse can be a person, a muse can be a thing, or an instrument, a piece of music, and it's about to inspire making art. Art in the huge sense of art.
Brian explained his vision in that he wanted to, capture ballet dancers, but not in a very rigid ballet way. He wanted to capture the movement and the beauty of ballet. So he has the dancers in ballet costumes, but in somewhat unusual settings sometimes, like 3 dancers just in the water, hair flowing, and it's turning out beautifully.
It was just so much fun because it was a great example of, oh, well, you can't do that. The girls are not going to want to get in the water in their tutus and their point shoes and all of, they're not going to want to get wet. But it was just the opposite. They were so willing, and they thought it was so much fun, and being able to be there in the water with them doing this shoot. It was, the sun is like shining through them. They're like sort of backlit, and it's like late in the afternoon, so everything was like soft and sparkly and glowing, and it was really wonderful. It was a real fun experience. It was exhilarating, I think, was the best word to describe that. In a lot of these pieces I've experimented with combining a lot more looser qualities in some of my abstract work with the realism piece. And in the piece, The Three Graces, it was much more looser things going on in the perimeter of the piece. I think that was really dictated by the element of water that the girls are in. It's flowing, it's moving, you can't stop it, you can't control it, it's spiritual in a way. And it really just lent itself to just being very loose and flowy and just a mirror for everything that is around it, the canopy of trees, the sky. Because of that, because it was handled in that way, I think the girls, they exist there as the 3 graces: charm, beauty, and creativity. Originally, part of the original plan for this collaboration and this project was to not only showcase the dancers and my artwork, but also to highlight a lot of Rochester's natural and historical landmarks. And that has happened, absolutely, but it's been interesting throughout the process because some of the things that I thought would happen that would be literally interpreted in the paintings with the dancers in them turned out to be something very different, and probably the best example of that would be the painting Rise with Brett Benedict, which is downtown in the High Falls area. We started on the rooftop of Genesee Beer Company, which was fun and fantastic, and I think it was a really good warm-up. And then as we walked over to the High Falls area, we got to this space where there was this crumbled, kind of broken brick and stone wall that overlooked all of the High Falls, and we did a bunch of shooting down there. And then in my periphery, I saw this stone wall that kind of, it just kind of rose up in the space, and I could see the Kodak building behind it. And there was something about the way the brick, this old brick, traveled kind of in this asymmetrical pattern up through this very gray old stone, and it was just filled with the history of the space, and it was just crumbling, and it was kind of sad in a way, but still very strong and powerful. So I had asked Brett to just be in that space in front of it and try and play with some of the vertical lines that was there, and also this sense of this collapsing in her body, but also a sense of lifting up. And that's really a commentary about the potential for that entire area in downtown Rochester, that there is huge potential down there. I had originally thought I would paint it literally as it was, but what happened was, as I was suddenly much more interested in the abstractions that were found in the composition, so it was more about taking what was literally there and finding a way to go back to what the initial inspiration was, is that the composition of everything reminded me of one of my abstract pieces. It seemed like the perfect vehicle to be able to merge those two things together and have her just existing in this abstract shape. Just expanding on the idea of showing up to a place and having an idea in my mind of what something is going to look like and what the end result is going to be once it becomes a painting. That's important. You have to have that. You have to have a goal. But you also have to be open to what you experience through the process, and don't be stubborn and think, well, this is what I was thinking, so this is what I have to do. If I feel something is moving me in another direction, I have to be open to be able to respond to that. I think a great example of that really is the painting Ensemble, which is from City Hall downtown. It's this gorgeous marble atrium that's probably like 4 levels. Really, really, really beautiful. In the beginning, what we thought would be great for the painting, we're having the girls in these different levels and these soaring heights and all this marble everywhere. And then as we kind of walked around and kind of looked around a little bit more, and we were up in one of the gallery sort of corridors up there, and there's like offices through there, but there's also these beautiful portraits of important figures from Rochester's past. And then there's this big wooden bench right there, and Jim came up with the idea of having them just sort of lined up on the bench and maybe 1 or 2 on the floor, and we kind of just played with that back and forth, and that's when it hit, and that's when it clicked. That's it. You can feel it happening. I can feel it change in the girls' bodies. The energy exchange back and forth becomes much more of, you've just stumbled on something that's really wonderful. You know, one of the greatest things that I've learned throughout this process is finding the looseness in certain areas where it requires it to be loose. So in that painting, they're all wearing these white tutus, and it's kind of just, they look like a row of cupcakes. They're just like, poof, tutu. And I knew right away that it was something that needed to just be painted a lot quicker. And what it does is that the looser areas make the more realistic or more highly rendered or tighter painted areas look more real. So they work in tandem. They're not separate from each other. They're existing in the same space, a millimeter away from each other, in perfect harmony. The muse is a physical manifestation or embodiment of that unseen force that asks you to create. All of these ideas, all of these concepts, all of this energy, all of these paintings already exist out there in the stardust. It's already there. And if that's true, then all I need to do is trust my intuition, because that's how it comes to me. And that's really, really exciting.